is the definition of sapiosexual? Someone who is aroused by the intellect of others. So by me having to look up the word, that pretty much crosses me off her list. I've never even met her. She's killed my self-esteem. That is power.
We're going to ask all of our guests this at the end. How would you like to die? Less than a minute left. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Cantrell, and we're really excited to get this thing started. Our podcast focuses on a person's life up to now. We see where they began, what they've done, and where they'd like to go, and also how they'd like to go. Joining me is my co-host, Jamie McCacken. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good. How are you, Charlie?
Good. So for this episode, we've got a great guest. He is a really impressive stand-up comedian. I've looked up to him a lot. He's a mentor of mine. I've known him for 7 years so far. He's been very kind with his time, and he's super talented. Please welcome to the podcast, Hatton Jordan. How are you, Hatton?
I think that's me. I'm good, very good. Charlie, I met you 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That's true. I wasn't sure of the exact how many years it had been. You were a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And we, as it turned out, went to the same high school.
That's right.
And I later learned that I had done some stand-up comedy shows with your uncle.
That's right. And
that's wild.
You also, I think when my dad was in college, did you stay in his college dorm at one point? Like, did you?
Well, one year of his college, he roomed with my best friend, perhaps, a guy named Tommy.
Yeah.
And they were roommates. And from Lynchburg College, I would drive to visit my friend Tommy, and he had a roommate. Maybe it was your dad that I met, and probably was, because I visited Tommy a couple times a year over a 4-year span. So, I met your dad prior to him being a dad.
Yeah. I'm so sorry if he did anything.
It was all a blur.
Okay.
That's the good news.
That's
right?
great. That's great.
Whatever happened.
Yeah.
Yes. So cool that we went to the same high school.
That is strange, and it's also kind of. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. You're from Portsmouth, Virginia, and it's all in Hampton Roads, Virginia, southeastern Virginia, for those who don't know. And I wanted to ask, what was it like growing up in Portsmouth, Virginia?
I was always on the go. I never went to school in the city that I lived in. So being from Portsmouth, if you went to school in Norfolk, I was on the go, bouncing through the tunnel traffic, tolls, basketball practices, the beach, Portsmouth, Norfolk, my friends in Norfolk and friends in Virginia Beach. I was always spread a little thin. Portsmouth, where I am right now, it's funny. I'm back in Old Town Portsmouth, and Old Town, a lot of kids growing up. I was kind of the younger one at the time. And I've lived since then in Chesapeake, Norfolk, Richmond, Louisiana. Guess where I'm living now? I'm back in Old Town Portsmouth. So a lot of outdoor activities, basketball, biking. But when I lived at the beach, we were at the ocean front. So I'm bodyboarding, body surfing, skimboarding. I was daydreaming a lot just with exercise and out and about, climbing trees, bodyboarding, skimboarding, biking, throwing footballs, basketball. That was my life.
It's they call it Hampton Roads, where all of the towns next to each other, you're always going in between each other. You're never really staying in one town too long. You know, you can move.
Yeah, everything is 22 minutes that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And but it was a good childhood. You know, I think what helped me was consistency. I basically went to the same school, different buildings, of course, but from kindergarten through 12th grade. So I have found that, and I've been at my current job. I'm a teacher, 16 years. So I find something and I stick to something. To me, consistency, predictability has always been a big part of my life.
You talk about doing a lot of your like exercising and activities when you were a kid, and you were daydreaming, you said, when you were doing those things. Were you daydreaming about comedy at all? How early did comedy become a part of your life when you were
I
growing up?
remember one specific moment. So, my family, I have an older brother, and my parents, we would vacation at least for a couple years in a row, couple summers in a row in Myrtle Beach. And we had some cousins that would join us, and they had about 5 kids, and they would bring a friend or two, and we'd bring a friend or two. It'd be like a bunch of kids and a bunch of parents. Anyway, the reason I bring that up, one night, the adults are in the other room watching TV, drinking their martinis, and the kids are all in some little bedroom or clowning around, listening to the local radio in Myrtle Beach while on vacation. And this radio station on this particular night happened to play "Who's on First" by Abbott and Costello. We're playing cards, we're playing war with cards, and they play this random thing, and we're playing cards, and we start listening to this, and we're laughing and we're laughing, and tears are coming down from our down our eyes, on our cheeks, and we run in the other room. Hey, Mom, Dad, have you heard of this "Who's on First"? And they just burst out laughing, because to them, "Who's on First," they had already heard it 5,000 times. But I might have been 8 years old. And that was one moment that I'm like, it was unplanned. Radio station plays a random comedy, famous comedy segment, and it blew my mind apart. "Who's on First?" And then later, a couple of years later, I bought the cassette of it. And this is pre-YouTube and pre-Google. I got a cassette tape player and a pen and a paper, and I transcribed the entire routine.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd hit play, then rewind and stop, and rewind and play, and pencil paper and rewind and play. I mean, I don't know how long it took me, but I transcribed that. And then later, a couple years later, transcribed Dennis Miller's Off-White cassette comedy album. So that's what you did.
Wow. I'm curious about the transcribing aspect of it. Was that for you to study it? Was it just you wanted to be able to read it over and over and like enjoy it, or how did that work? What was that like?
Definitely, Jamie. I think it was I was a word guy. That is one thing I always liked. I liked writing and words. And I read a lot of Mad Magazine as a kid. And I liked wordplay and words and crafting. I couldn't go to Google and type it up and hit print. I mean, it was play, rewind, stop. And yeah, I wanted to see it. I wanted to have it in my hand.
Right.
And then maybe, who knows, maybe I kind of read it out loud to myself.
That's awesome.
Did you have a specific favorite comic growing up, or was it a group? I know that Abbott Costello, Dennis Miller. Who else was within your influences early on?
It was Mad Magazine, of course, but as far as true stand-up comedians, and now this is a weird thing to say, but at the time it was, I was a huge Bill Cosby fan. My family devoured his comedy albums and his famous Bill Cosby himself video. His stand-up show was epic. Later we learned some things. Bill Cosby, and then, George Carlin and stuff. But I liked pratfalls. I liked Dick Van Dyke Show, Chevy Chase. When I was sick as a kid, I'd stay home. Of course, I'm sick, and the Brady Bunch would be on, and Dick Van Dyke Show, and he would topple and do a pratfall. And I understood it. And maybe I clowned around and attempted some pratfalls in my room. But those were the first things. And then that led to Eddie Murphy. And I later saw Eddie Murphy live in concert. I saw the Raw tour in Norfolk, Virginia. And I later learned that Eddie Murphy and I had the same birthday. When I was a teenager, I learned April 3rd. I said, this is meant to be. Now, Jamie, are you familiar with Bill Cosby or Eddie Murphy? Are you familiar with their work?
More so Bill Cosby, I would say.
Yeah.
My family was never big. I mean, like comedy wise, I mean, we watched like my dad would put on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Okay.
I loved Mary Tyler Moore. I
Yeah.
remember growing up, loved her. The is it called like Mayberry or something? I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah, probably Andy Griffith's
Andy
show, and
Griffith
there was an
Show,
offshoot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which slightly different than Eddie Murphy and Bill Cosby stand up, but those are my comedy influences as a kid.
Well,
So
they were great.
yeah.
Andy Griffith Show, very wholesome and
Yes.
and funny and funny writing. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, those are my comic influences. And you mentioned daydreaming. I liked being outside, throwing football, skimboarding, whatever, biking, and I think when I was doing those things, maybe you daydream about being on the team, hitting the last shot. I would create these little moments on my basketball court if I was out there by myself, just clown around and do oddball shots and just get creative. And I feel like sometimes if you're biking or body surfing or bodyboarding, you're out there, you're doing something, but your brain is wandering and you're creative. And in a way, I have to admit, when you're played on basketball teams or bodyboarding and there's waves, there's people watching, right? And I always knew that people were watching. So I might play with a little bit more flair or bodyboard, try to do some stuff. I was aware of people watching, so I don't know. I just knew that you had to do something a little different. You had to entertain them.
I was also wondering, because I know that a lot of comedians in Hampton Roads, a lot of them come from Portsmouth, Virginia. Do you think Portsmouth itself has influenced your point of view in comedy?
I think so. For one, Wanda Sykes is from Portsmouth, Virginia.
I didn't know.
Patton Oswalt was born in Portsmouth, Virginia. Those are two big figures. And because I grew up in Portsmouth, we would go through the tunnel. Like I said, I was always late to the party, so to speak. I was late to school sometimes because of the tunnel or the bus or the toll or this. So I always felt, and Portsmouth was, kind of joked on a little bit. I mean, playfully. But I feel like maybe people from Portsmouth had to earn it a little bit more. We had to work a little harder to get to the social events or it just took more effort to get to school, to get to the game, to get to practice, that I feel like we just had to defeat the stigma of being from Portsmouth.
I do think that Portsmouth people within all of Hampton Roads are the funniest people and they're my favorite. I love this. My Momac Brewery, I think, might be my favorite venue to perform.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
So you produce that show, and it's just like, it's a great audience. It's a great time. And it's like, they have a good sense of humor and they kind of care a lot about comedy. I think that the town appreciates someone with a sense of humor more than, everyone, kind of does. But I feel like that place especially has a good appreciation that I like a lot. I
think you're right. I was, just to fill in Jamie a little bit, I've been doing comedy about, believe it or not, 37 years. So 36. But at this age, this time in my life, I'm lucky to produce some shows at the Push Comedy Theater in Norfolk, at Momac Brewery in Portsmouth, at Nansemond Brewing Station in Suffolk, at the Wyndham Hotel at the ocean front. So just by staying in the game, just keeping your hand in it, you don't have to do everything your first year of comedy or your first 5 years. Just the networking and the people you meet, and time takes time. And getting back to your point, Charlie, the Momac show in Portsmouth, well attended, a lot of fun. You've done it several times. Your parents have come out. It's got a fun, loose vibe to it. So I think Portsmouth does. They can take the jokes on themselves a little bit easier.
I think we also wanted to learn a little bit about your parents' opinion on comedy. Was that something, when you told them you wanted to start comedy, were they excited to hear that? What was their reaction?
Well, my dad kind of helped me get in. So I went to Lynchburg College, about 4 hours away from my home. And I came home one summer from college, and I'd been home a couple of days. And my dad, who was a kind of funny guy, he said, "Hey, I signed you up for a class at Old Dominion. I can withdraw you. We can get the money back. No big deal. But if you want, I've already signed up. I signed you up for a humor writing class at Old Dominion. It starts next Thursday. It's 6 Thursdays in a row, and whatever." And internally, my heart was beating, knowing, oh my God, yes, yes. But I didn't show it on my face. I was like, well, yeah, let me think about that. I remember going in my room, kind of going, oh man, I mean, I'm in this class, and I came out later, said, yeah, I'll do that. So it was 6 Thursdays in a row. And then the grad show was to perform at a comedy club called the Thurgood Inn Comedy Club in Virginia Beach. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was around for 20 some years. And the teacher of the class, Fred Talbot, who taught English at Old Dominion, one of his side hobbies was he wrote jokes for Dennis Miller on Saturday Night Live Weekend Update. He got little money, from that, and he'd go up. Dennis Miller would send him Saturday Night Live tickets, and I couldn't believe it. And so my grad show was performing for the first time ever at the Thurgood Inn Comedy Club, and my parents were there. And so in a way, they weren't like gung-ho, be a comedian, but my dad, in a way, planted the seed of me getting involved in it. And probably if he had not signed me up, if he had asked me, hey, do you want me to sign up? I probably would have said no. But the fact that he had already, it was 90% done. So they've, as a new comedian, your parents, your friends go to a lot of your shows the first 3 or 4 years. And then there's a big drop off, right? And then you're kind of on your own. And that's kind of the way it should be. And probably, though, the last time my mom saw me perform might have been about a year ago. But prior to that, it'd probably been 20 years.
Did she have any notes after the 20 years?
I never point blank ask, hey, what do you think, right?
Right.
But my dad, on occasion back in the day, would say, come do an open mic, said, hey, you did pretty well. He might have been lying. I was a nervous Nelly up on stage, but I would say they've always been supportive. They haven't said, hey, we want you to be a full-time comedian, but I've kept my hand in it for many, many years. So it travels well. That's what I tell new comedians. If you live in Louisiana or Richmond or wherever you live and move to, you find an open mic and boom, there you go.
Yeah, my dad, I had a similar story where I was doing comedy writing. I would write stories, and I would submit it into competitions against dramatic pieces.
Yeah.
And obviously, I would always lose to like a dramatic piece. Like someone would
I love it.
do a dramatic thing about, I had this terrible life, and I just screw off with something. And then I was losing constantly, and my dad said, you should do this into a stand-up routine. You would win, and you also had to pay money for those competitions as writing. So I was losing money doing it.
Wow.
And I was just like, but this one's gonna win. And then that kind of pushed me to like, okay, let me take the written work and put that on stage. So it's
I love it. You're going against the grain.
Yeah.
You were just purposely ruining your chances.
But I was always optimistic. I was going in each one. I was like, this is gonna get him. This is gonna get him.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned Mad Magazine. One of my bittersweet highlights of my, comedy career, about 18 years ago or so, I, on a whim, wrote a bunch of stuff, sent it to Mad Magazine, just mailed it on a whim. I didn't contact them I just mailed the stuff because they take outside submissions. Mad Magazine is not around anymore. But I mailed these things. Lo and behold, about a month later, I get an email from Mad Magazine, the editor, a guy named Charlie Cadu. My heart pretty much stopped when I saw Charlie Kadu Mad Magazine submission in the, and I opened it and they said they liked my stuff. Can you do more along this vein? And I delivered. I thought of more stuff that was even better and they corresponded with me. They sent me a check for $250. And though bittersweet, Jamie and Charlie, it never ran. The magazine about 8 months later died completely.
Oh.
But it was thrilling, and I wanted so bad to pick up a magazine, get the physical one. Once they sent me a check, the next one came, and the newsstands. I'd go to grocery store, I'd see it, I'd thumb through every page looking for my work. All right, it's not in this one. It'll be in next month. Same thing, next month, tearing, nothing. It never ran. I wanted so badly to see my work, but mainly to see my name in those pages, and I would have bought probably 50,000 copies. And I would have kept the magazine in business.
Sure. Yeah, you would have saved it. You were the one. Yeah.
I just realized had they run the stuff, it would still be afloat. So
Cool.
that is on them.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Have you had a favorite show that you've done?
Probably like one of the highlights of my career about, a couple of years ago, I got to open up for Demetri Martin at the Sandler Center in Virginia Beach, and getting the call or the email to do that about 4 days before the gig.
Cool.
I should have gone on social media and said, hey, I'm going to be doing this. I didn't tell anybody because I was like, pure focus, blinders on, prepping, planning for that show. So opening up for Demetri Martin, way cool, in front of about 1,200 people at the Sandler Center. Super exciting. And I wish I could do it again, because, you learn some things the first time doing it. One thing that I would have done is, they introduce you. There's a long walk, big stage. I would have been like, they said my name and I didn't probably grab the microphone till about 10 seconds later, just because of the long walk, right? So I would have been a little quicker and logistics, things like that. But that was a highlight of mine.
What was Demetri Martin like in person? I'm familiar with his stand-up. He's very funny.
He's very, very chill. He's kind of like he is on stage, a little quiet, a little reserved. I didn't want to bother him too much. So I got there to the gig 2 hours before the gig. He pulled in about an hour before, and he had his instruments and his guitar and whatnot. And they're doing a sound check on the stage, and he's plugged in, and they're, one or two techs are with him on the stage, and I'm kind of in the background on stage. I didn't want to bother him when he was prepping and getting his guitar sound right. But pre-show, I chatted with him a little bit. I told him that I really enjoyed his comedy, that I said, man, you are a great comedian. And he really was taken aback a little bit. He was like, wow, thank you, man. That is so nice. So I feel like it's good to be honest with people and tell people who have influenced you. Demetri Martin is a hilarious guy. And I told him one of the joke that I love that he does, and I'm paraphrasing here. He said something like, I think all companies like copy machine companies, like places you go to make copies, he said they should only hire identical twins.
That's funny.
And I that's my kind of humor. So I told him, I said, man, that joke I saw you do it on Letterman. That is a great joke. And then his next stand-up, he did that joke again in his special on Netflix. So I think that me telling him the joke I saw him do 8 years ago, I think he dropped it back in because of me.
Yeah, influencer.
You should have a Netflix credit.
I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tell you something real quick. Can I jump in this story real quick?
Sure.
So I was kind of racing home to get to this podcast, and I popped into the Starbucks that's in Old Town Portsmouth, and I walk in, and there's like 8 or 9 people. They're already sitting down. texting and drinking their coffee. I'm like literally the only customer in the moment. So I walk up to the counter and I order just a regular, I have it right here, a regular black coffee. And they said, "What's the name?" And I said, "Jordan, my last name, Jordan." I sit down, I'm looking at my notes that I'm making for this podcast. They say my name and they put my coffee up on the counter, and I go get it and I sit down looking at my notes and I sip the coffee.
Yeah.
And it's the wrong order. It's like, it's mint. I look at the cup, it says mint mocha. They messed up my order. But then I look at the cup more, and the name on the cup says Aiden, Aiden. I am drinking some dude named Aiden's mint mocha. But I don't know where, there's no one. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
maybe Aiden's in the bathroom. Maybe Aiden ordered on the mobile app and he'll be here in 2 minutes. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then right then they said Jordan, and they put my coffee up there. And I go, all right, I have made a terrible, I'm drinking this, what I messed up. I need to fix the problem. So I picked up Aiden's drink and I walked toward the counter, and I didn't say anything. What I did is I did the old switcheroo with the coffee.
Oh no.
I put Aiden's down and I got Jordan's, and I left because I had to do a podcast. So
Yeah.
if there was anyone named Aiden in Portsmouth, Virginia, about 45 minutes ago, if you ordered a mint mocha at the Starbucks in Old Town, Aiden, I apologize.
It's also
This
May
is-
the 4th. It's May the 4th today. This will air in June.
Yes. Okay. So I apologize to Aiden. I don't know where Aiden was. That is on me. But we had to do a show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can.
And he doesn't know it, but he actually you've tasted his coffee for poison for him, and you're
I
good.
could have done that.
Yeah.
And I think now people hear this. It's like when you order on the mobile app, you see it right there. Hey, you don't know if someone like me
Yeah.
has took a big swig and put it back. So I'm sorry, Aiden, if you're out there, but it sounded like Aiden Jordan. I mean, but there's no one around. I figured that was mine.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I need to listen better.
I would love to know a little bit more about your moving into producing shows. What was it like to go from someone who's performing in a show, and then how did that influence your production of a comedy
That
show?
is awesome. And like I said, I'm grateful to do it. I would say the main thing and the initial instinct is when you're producing shows is to, you have to tell yourself to book quality comedians, right? You might, be friends with these newer comedians, and they might say, "Hey man, can I get a spot?" And eventually you'll give some newer comics, you'll throw them a bone, or maybe you say, "Hey man, I'll give you a 7-minute spot, right? Play your hits." But generally, if you have 4 comics on the show, you have to really make sure that you book quality comedians, experienced comedians who have done the road, have proven jokes. Because also, I don't live in New York City. You guys live in New York City. There's probably 13 stand-up shows or more in the city in your neighborhood. There could be 13 within a 4-block walk from you. But in the 757, that's not the case. So if we're lucky enough to get a venue that wants to do a comedy night or a hotel or a brewery, you got to deliver the goods, because you don't want them after 2 shows going, boy, that is not good. You have to keep these shows alive because we need stage time. Diversity of style and various things, you have to factor that in. And I feel like I book a good show, I book the right people. Of course, you book one, you got to 2 months later book another one there. So you then rotate the comedians. You can't put the same guy on 2 months ago on this one. So there's enough in town, enough comedians, good comedians in town, to always keep it fresh. So I find that you book local shows here 3 times a year, local shows there 3 times a year, there 3 times a year, and I do a once-a-month show at the Push Comedy Theater. It's like suddenly that's 19 20 shows, 22 shows a year that are in my backyard. That's pretty good. So I look at them as good for me, stage time for all, the audience. It's a win-win. The audience leaves going, man, that was great. And they give us a little budget, things like that. You got to have to, if younger comics bug you, hey, can I get time? Can I get time? Hey, can I do 20 minutes? I know they don't have 20. You'll say, hey, man, I'll play your hits. Do your best 8. Let me see what you got. So you got to kind of have to be tight with them, and you got to have to enforce the goal of keep these shows really good.
Was Charlie ever one of those young comedians bugging you
Yes.
for time?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
I was. How did you
And
guess?
and
How did you guess?
I always tell young comedians, they'll text me or message me on social media, and sometimes I can fit them in, sometimes I can't. But I always say, it's great that these young comics like Charlie and others are bugging me. I'm, in a way, I'm a comedy booker. I don't own a comedy club, but I book 22 shows a year locally. So when these comics contact me, it shows that they're motivated. In a way, it shows that, hey, can't put you on this week or this month or not for 2 months. They have to face, I'm not purposely trying to reject them or not put them on a show, but by them reaching out, they'll get a gig, but also them reaching out, hey, you don't always get the gig when you want the gig. But some others have contacted like, hey, just seeing what you got. And I'll say, hey, how about next Thursday? And they go, wow, hey, thank you. It's like, I love it that their effort sometimes in the moment, text message, 48 seconds later, they've gotten a gig just by sending a text. So I tell people, try to do one thing a day, at least one, to further your career. It could be contacting a comedy club. It could be evaluating a video of yourself that you filmed of you performing last week. It could be getting your pen and paper out, notebook. It could be going to do an open mic or going to watch a show or going to YouTube to watch Mitch Hedberg or Brian Regan. So at the minimal, it might just be a 60-second one thing, sending a text to a booker, or it could be a 45-minute thing. But one thing goes a long way.
Thank you. And thank you for dealing with me.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, I will also continue to pester you.
Let me know when you're back in town. Send me your avails, Charlie Cantrell.
You're a great mentor to me, and I know to others as well. You've been a great mentor for young comedians, people first starting out. You've always been very kind to everyone, giving great advice. There's a lot of tags within my set attributed to you. Thank you for all of those. I'm very grateful for your help. It's meant a lot to me. I can tell I'm a better stand-up and a better person also.
Wow, thank you so much.
Very kind and person to be around. And you taught a lot of good lessons with stand-up. I know when you start out, you can run into sort of some people that might take advantage of younger comedians, kind of, manipulate them and put them in the wrong direction. You've always been very clear and straight, and I'm very grateful for that.
Well, I think the reason is because stand-up, for me, I'm like the poster child of staying in the game with stand-up comedy. I think it kind of benefited me that I had to put in all these years over the years. That had I just become this kind of wonder kid, wonder boy that just shot to the top, I maybe would have had a little bit more of a, whatever, these other kids, whatever. Who cares? But because it's a humbling thing, it takes a long time, decades or years at least. Years lead to decades of getting better and at it. So I'm kind of a pretty humble dude because it's taken me a long time. My day job, I am a third grade teacher assistant in the school system down here in the 757. And what I also like about being a teacher compared to performing is like wherever I go, there's an audience. So I go in this classroom, there's 28 kids. Go in this one, there's 29. I go on stage, there's 100. So I'm around people and voices and interactions all day. and I'm moving and I'm talking and I'm walking. So being a teacher helps me with stand-up. Being a stand-up comedian helps me being a teacher. And you get out at 5, I get out at 3:15. It gives me time to, if I have a gig, I can go home, be home by 4, chill out for an hour and a half, prep my stuff, take my shower. So I'm kind of lucky, and summer's off. So it works with performing, the hours and the schedule. So kind of grateful.
It's also funny that my roommate Peter, my close friend from childhood, he got a job working with you as a within the school as well. And
That's right.
I enjoy how I know both of you guys, the real versions of you guys. And
That's
you guys
right.
know the corporate masks versions, like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, oh, I know they're lying to each other. I know
You
the real
really know
versions.
Peter.
Yeah,
You really know Peter.
So I would love to know a little bit about your writing process. I know you mentioned that you have a kind of an energetic, upbeat, observational style. When
Yeah.
you're writing your jokes, when you're thinking about your comedy, do you have a little notebook where you're writing things down that you observe and see? Like, how does it start for you?
Well, I do have the notebooks. I mean, this is just 2 of about, dozens over the course of many, many years. Well, and now with the phone, right? The phone helps. If you're at a stop light, you're driving, or you're driving and an idea comes into your head, and you're like, I have to text that to myself so I don't forget. So you're at a red light, boom, 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 text it to myself, the keywords. So the first thing you do, you gotta make sure you don't forget. Texting it to yourself. I work at a school. There might be a little moment, a little 8-second thing. I can turn around from the class and text something, or during lunch, write it down on a piece of paper, text it to yourself. I'll email ideas to myself. That way, when I check my email, there they are. When I check my text messages, there they are. So first thing, make sure you don't forget it. Many times, Charlie might say, you think of something so funny, you're like, well, there's no way I'm going to forget that humorous thing because it's so hilarious. And then you didn't write it down, and truly, it is gone. So when I die and go up to heaven, there's probably a 1 hour of killer material up there that has accrued over the years of me just thinking I would remember it. So often it's on, used to be pen and paper. Now it's email. And I will kind of talk it out at home. Then you got to find out where it fits in your act, right? This little 48-second joke, does it go here after talking about teaching? And, this joke ends with a reference to an umbrella. The joke I just wrote about is about flooding. Okay. That's a good little segue.
I would love to know, because we've talked about your comedy influences when you were younger. Who are your biggest influences right now? Who do you think is the funniest and that affects your style?
There's a guy I met him recently. I didn't do a show with him, but I did a show recently at the Funny Bone in Virginia Beach. And this comedian was not on the show that I was doing, but he was the headliner for the Funny Bone that weekend. The guy that kills me is Joe List. List. Joe List kills me. So I got to meet him a couple weeks ago or whatever. But Joe List has an incredible YouTube special called I Hate Myself. And there's, like 8 million people have watched this thing. I've probably watched it 5 times. He's just so bang, bang. He's just he doesn't do much on stage. It's not like he's doing backflips or running or doing a lot of theatrics or performing. His writing, he's just so crisp. His demeanor, he just gets to the funny. He gets to the punchline, his comfort on stage. On occasion, if I'm in a rut, I sometimes will YouTube, great comics, Mitch Hedberg, Joe List, Brian Reed, whoever. And I will on occasion pull up some Joe List and just watch him going, man, he finds funny. He gets to the funny. he gets jokes, finds jokes that I'm like, God, that's been staring at me for 8 years, right in front of my face. And Joe List is one of my favorites.
Who, if you had to have the top 5 comedians, stand-up comics of all time, who is in your top 5?
I would say definitely Richard Pryor, definitely George Carlin, definitely Mitch Hedberg, definitely Eddie Murphy, and I would put Bill Cosby in that list also. I saw, let's see, of all those 5, I've never seen Richard Pryor live, never saw him live, but George Carlin saw live, Mitch Hedberg saw live, Eddie Murphy saw live, Bill Cosby saw live. Those are my 5, and that 5 is a dream team. That 5, if you name other 5 great comics to beat that 5, that's going to be hard to do.
Definitely. I think my top 5 very similar to yours.
Yeah.
In the sense that I think it's, and I love all of them. I think they're all great, but it's in no particular order. I put Robin Williams in the top 5. I loved his just,
yes,
his energy, the way he goes. I like him. Cosby,
yes,
with an apostrophe towards everything.
Cosby apostrophe.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, big disclaimer. But
you got to make the face.
Yeah.
After you say his name.
He but his special about to my brother, I think it's called To My Brother Russell, to Whom I've Slept With.
Yes.
That was really that's a funny piece. But Carlin also. I put Seinfeld. I really like Seinfeld.
Yeah, he's incredible, man.
And I think it goes to Pryor also.
Yeah.
I think those are, because Pryor also feels like he's influenced a lot. He's kind of like Carlin in that his influence, you sort of see everyone has little moments of each of them.
Yeah, and Pryor, I think still to this day, if you pulled it up on streaming, is just one called Richard Pryor. I think it's just called In Concert. Richard Pryor In Concert, Richard Pryor Live in Concert. That's the name. You could put it on now. There are no real pop references in it. So if you watched it now, and if you didn't know what year it was made, it still stands up. And I like that Pryor, one of his techniques as a comedian, he did a lot of personification. He would talk about a car that he was shooting at because he was all drunk, and he would then be the voice of the car, and he would be the voice of a dog. He would add his voice to things that don't talk, right?
Yeah.
So, and his facial expressions and his delivery, still one of the best.
Jamie,
if not the best of all time.
Definitely. I definitely love Pryor a ton, and I think he has a Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix if anyone's interested.
Yeah,
check a special. Jamie, do you have a top 5, not including Hatton and I? Not including us.
Now she's got to change her list now.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk about all these comics that I can tell really affected the way you think about something that you really love, and I can I know both of you just from sitting. I mean I know Charlie a little bit better, but I can tell that when you guys, comedy is kind of your whole world. You're viewing the world kind of through that lens, it seems, and so hearing you talk about these comedians who loom large and who you think are your favorite, it's making me go, I really need to watch more comedy. I need to. It's it's a really funny way to, pun intended, I guess. It's a funny way to view the world, I think, is there anyone other than those top 5 for both of you that you recommend? Someone?
Well, it's funny you mentioned you need to watch more comedy.
Yeah.
In a way, I do also, but I watch some, but I don't want to watch too much, right? Because then I'm influenced by, and part of me is like, I got stuff to do. I mean, I'll watch a little bit of this guy, but I got shit to do, right? Whatever. But I need to work on my own act, right? But there's so many incredible comedians out there. Yeah, the top 5 I mentioned, but Joe List, he's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's some amazing ones that I've never even heard of yet, of course, right? For wherever. So who else do I like?
It's also hard to do a top 5 because then I think of, then you have Chris Rock, Chappelle, Bill
Right. I
Burr,
mean, Chris Rock is
Seinfeld. I may have put him
Chris
in.
Rock. He's done movies. He's done an HBO show. He's done stand-up comedy. He's done this and that. I mean, he's been slapped by Will Smith.
That was
I
his
mean,
great best
not
moment,
just stand-up. He's done, like I said, movies as a main actor, as a comic actor. He had an HBO show. He had this and that. Diversity of his creativity. Chris Rock is
He's a star.
currently top 5. I mean, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
He's a legend.
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I'm thinking now, one comedian I have very much enjoyed over the years is John Mulaney.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
he's kind of a, classic. Makes me think of being in college and watching his
Yeah.
specials.
I like his tone of voice. I mean, his voice alone will make you. He's got his cadence down. John Mulaney, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my one, my top one. I'm still working on my
Top
other
one.
4.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
One, and then we got us 2.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm working on. I've got 2 more.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Hatton. We really appreciate having you. And our podcast, we get guests that are living their lives to the fullest. And you've truly, through your passion of comedy and teaching and mentorship, you've really lived a life that I respect a lot. And thank you for just being a good friend and mentor.
Hey, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Likewise, Charlie. Yeah. And I know you on this podcast, you talk about death and things like that. And it's interesting.
Yeah,
so,
it's kind of like it's a morbid title. Very morbid title, but it's about the joys of life.
Yeah.
So how, Hatton Jordan, how would you like to die?
Well, there's how I would like to die and how I think I'm actually going to die. And those are different things. But I am not against being on the proper drugs and pills that kind of put you on, make you just drift away, right? I definitely don't want it to be cold. I want it to be kind of have that warm, cozy feeling, and maybe in the background there's a football game on and the Washington Commanders are in the waning moments of their Super Bowl victory. That'd be good to go out with a victory like that with some hydrocodones and some various pills that just kind of,
that's great,
send you off. But the reality of how I will die, it will probably be embarrassing. And I won't have the luxury to be in a bed with drugs in me drifting off. So I work in a school, and I think it's going to be like a 3rd grade student drops his textbook and it just hits directly on the floor and makes that sound, and it will startle my heart, and I will just fall right then, as we're lining up for lunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Death by 3rd grader.
Death by 3rd
grader.
Because
Jeremy dropped his math textbook.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to go. They probably won't mention that in the obituary, but
died doing what he
Jeremy will be sued. I know that.
Shame to Jeremy. And
Shame
thank
Jeremy.
you, Hatton, for being with us. We really appreciate your time.
Well, Jamie and Charlie and all the behind the scenes people, this was way cool. And you mentioned death just today. And this is true. I'm not going to mention his name. A very good friend of mine, his mom died today. And it's crazy that I didn't know she was going through what she was going through. And just 1 or 2 days ago, literally, I think 2 days ago, he texted me, "Hey, I want to let you know this is going on with my mom." And I was like, how would I know? And then today, 2 days later, she has gone because of cancer. And it just comes up so quick. And I will say this, at my age, I definitely take better care of myself now, because I kind of feel like there's jokes to write, there's friends to make, there's things to do. And I kind of feel like not the clock is ticking, but I don't want to, I don't want the textbook. I don't want Jeremy to drop the textbook yet.
Sure.
But,
yes.
Things change so quickly. We're all,
Commanders are going to win. In the end,
Yeah.
the Commanders
You know,
win.
Yeah.
That's will be the bittersweet ending
Yeah.
to my life. Victory for the Commanders. Jeremy's dropped his textbook,
Yeah.
but somehow
Yeah.
I've rushed home
Sure.
for Super Bowl Sunday, and there you go. And I look at maybe there's a medical guy helping me, and I look at his name tag, and it says Aiden,
That's
Aiden.
Your last words
And
are.
I'll say, well, there you go,
Yeah,
Aiden.
And you're like, I owe you a Starbucks.
Yeah.
I owe you a $4 mint mocha.
That's-
I'll get it to you somehow in the afterlife through
Yes.
Venmo.
Thank you again, Hatton.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night.